Season 5, Episode 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this episode, just to jump back a little bit to my last review, actually does focus on Liv having visions and stuff, because that was something I mentioned in my last review. It's like, oh yeah, I forgot that was even like a main thing in the series, and it actually does end up being a main focus in this episode, which also doesn't get solved by the end of the episode. So even though they don't touch on it a lot, I assume that we'll see that play out in the next episode. It'll either wrap up or it will somehow be a continuation of the story, because they didn't actually wrap it up. I was like, are they gonna, because they go to the dead guy's former boyfriend, and I was like, okay, so he's talking to them, and it was like, I thought that some of the stuff he said in the very beginning, I was like, oh, so he's almost like admitting what he did, and it was just super quick, like a quick wrap up. He was like, oh crap, I got busted, so be it, because like the first thing he said was like, I didn't mean to hurt him, I only wanted to hurt her. So I was like, oh, he's just, that, like, as soon as he said that line, I was like, okay, he's just flat out saying like, yep, it was me and that was it. And then he's drinking the water, and I was like, he just drank that water twice. And I was like, as soon as that happened twice, I was like, something's odd about that. I was like, they're gonna touch on that in some way, shape, or form. And then it turns out it was cyanide, and he died. So I think he was kind of admitting it, but at the same time, based on the way it happened, like he dies and then it's like, what did you drink? And he like looks over, like it looked like he was freaking out. I was like, I don't think he did that on purpose. Like someone else killed him. So I was like, all right, well, there's still like this mystery then, and they don't solve it by the end of the episode. So it has to play out in the next one, or it's going to be one of those weird things where, I mean, I feel like that would just be a drop plot line. They've done it before where they don't catch the bad guy. Like it was that one woman. All I can remember, it was like the coffee shop episode, but the woman ends up escaping at the end, and she like left the country and everything, and she like actually got away. That was like, okay, they ended that episode where it's like the villain actually escaped, which was a really dark episode. That's literally the only time they've done that. But in this one, it was like a third person ends up dying, and we don't know when in the world happened. And they say it's cyanide, but I'm curious if it's gonna end up being some other thing, because they went through they went through a full investigation. Like they went through all the other people on the team, as far as other dance teams. They have pictures of all the people on. I can't remember the people who died. I can't remember their names, but the guy who died, they had like a picture of his whole polo team, and it was like, all right, well, none of those people came into play, and he hadn't been with them for a while, so they only showed his ex-boyfriend and then the other guy who was a part of the team as well. And it was just like, all right, well, I doubt it would be any of them, but they could literally make up any story whatsoever. And then they never technically touched on the thing where the other woman, her boyfriend was actually with the guy that died as well. So it could have been her, but they didn't actually show that it was her. So that might be something that they reveal, in the next episode, where they actually officially solve that case. And it's like, oh, okay, it was actually her that did it, because that was a plot point that never actually came up. Like they didn't find out that it was her. It didn't end up being the dancer's ex-boyfriend either, because he dies at the end. So I was like, all right, well, I was surprised, and I'm like, all right, it's like 5 minutes left, here it is, he's admitting everything, and then he dies, and I was like, oh, the mystery continues. But it's not like they didn't show anything about it in the trailer, but I assume it has to be a part of the story in some way, shape, or form, or it just ended, and that's kind of weird. But other than that, it was really fun. I really enjoyed it. It was cool to see Liv be on the brains, and it was really funny for sure. And Ravi, the whole episode was hilarious because he was freaking out about dancing. So I thought that was great. That was just super funny. And then the other half of this episode was very serious and dramatic, where you have, well, actually the other two stories in this episode, both of them were actually pretty dramatic. So you have crazy baby drama going on with Clive, where he's like, holy crap, this woman's pregnant. It's like, oh, I got like 3 months to go. And she's like, oh, about the same. He's like, ooh, cool. So that mystery's up in the air right now, and they don't know, how that's going to end up playing out. So that Clive might be having 2 kids. He might not be having 2 kids. Who the F knows? Then we have the crazy stuff going on at the school, where the school does lice checks so that they can figure out who is and is not a zombie, so that they can separate the kids, because they're freaking out that the zombie kids are gonna freak out and kill the human kids. And it was just like, okay, well, this is pretty nuts. And then of course it gets really bad, and Peyton sees this video where of course you don't see everything that's happening, and the people are like, something has to be done here. So her and Major end up having an argument, and he's flipping out. Like both of them are in some really crappy positions right now. But it turns out that the kid that is revealed to be a zombie to some of the other students was actually Jordan's, I hope I'm remembering her. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Jordan's youngest brother. And so they end up, by the end of the episode, going to kind of the safe house, Liv safe house and everything. And they find out that all of the, oh crap, all the coyotes are actually human and stuff. So they learned their little lesson by the end. I was like, oh, that's that's a nice little thing. Which I forgot that they were all human. I'll be totally honest, I completely forgot that. Um, I was like, like every character was human because I was thinking even with Baron when it happened, I was like, well, he's a zombie too. And then when he died, I was like, oh, he's not a zombie. Like he's dead. Like interesting. I forgot they're all human. Totally forgot that stuff. Makes sense though because if a zombie went out, there's like 100 million checks and they would just check them and they wouldn't even have to check the other people because they don't turn people until they get them across the wall. So it makes sense that they would all have to be human anyway. I just forgot. So the kids learn their little lesson at the end, but they still have this, this is one of like the greater issues where it's like, even in the schools where it's kids and they're separating them. And like Payne even mentions, it was like, you have kids who are like straight C students and suddenly they're put in like advanced classes because that's where they put all the human kids and stuff just to separate them from the zombies. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. So, there's two sides to the story, but for the most part, the school was doing stuff wrong and them doing that and obviously just kids being pricks and bully kid sent the kid overboard and he zombied out, he freaked out. So I was like, okay, there a lot of issues going back and forth, little things on the school level, and of course because it's small world, of course, they tie that in with the whole Jordan thing and stuff like that. But fairly depressing on that end. It was like, okay, sad stuff going on here, kids getting separated and stuff in the schools, being bullied for being zombies. You got crazy possibly baby mama drama going on with Clive. I don't know. Also, super funny. Clive knows how to dance, which I thought was hilarious. It was like, oh, that really sucks. It's too bad he did actually end up investigating everybody because they actually could have done the dance together. It was funny how that ended up playing out. I was like, that's such a weird coincidence. It was like he actually could have done it if they hadn't already, if he hadn't already gone to investigate everybody. It was funny, but I like the way the whole episode was handled. The drama stuff was good. The comedy stuff was definitely great. Ravi freaking out was just some of the best stuff. But I'm looking forward to seeing how they continue this little storyline because I was like, oh, I thought it was just going to wrap up and then the dude dies at the end. So it's either going to just end up being something simple where it's like it was the other guy's girlfriend, or it will end up being like something crazier because they, like I said, they could say it's like some insane thing and it just reads as cyanide, but somehow it ends up being, some zombie-based thing. I don't know. But I'm looking forward to the next episode. Certainly enjoyed this one. And naturally, of course, I want to know what you guys thought about it. So please put your comments down in the comment section below. Let me know your favorite parts about it, least favorite parts about it. And with what they seem to be doing going forward as far as like the, I guess, advancement / degradation of Seattle as a whole, I would love to know your predictions for where you think it's headed. They didn't show much. Well, actually, they didn't show any of the woman who's like doing these little behind the scenes plans outside of recap stuff because I thought she was gonna show up again because they showed her with the guy who like did the bombing and stuff. So it's like, oh, okay, well she's gonna show up. She's gonna have some other plot cooking or something like that, and that didn't end up happening. So I was kind of surprised. The cyanide thing could be linked to her. I kind of doubt it because it seems like it's such a weird random thing, but it's television, so at the same time it was like the smallest thing could totally link back to like the greatest of villains and weird stuff like that. So I doubt it's linked to her in any way, shape, or form, but she could have some weird connection. And once again, it's like these little strings where it's like, okay, I'm gonna do this, and this. The cops will investigate. This thing will happen. That thing will happen, and then it ends up leading back to her. I highly doubt that because it seems way too complicated and over the top to like kill off like 4 or 5 humans, that sort of thing, just to be like, yep, zombies. Like they didn't even actually kill any humans the last time. So to go from that to like, we're gonna kill like 4 people slowly with cyanide, that just seems like way too advanced. And it also just doesn't make sense. So I highly doubt any of that stuff is related to her. But didn't see much of her, but I would love to know how you guys think things are gonna end up playing out as far as like what they showed with the school stuff, what that woman's character is going to end up being as far as, this season goes, and just how things are going to play out. I kind of asked that, I believe, last time or during the premiere, but I think they're doing a good job so far, especially with them like going into the school stuff. I think they're doing a really good job showing like the small levels, kind of back and forth on how characters are either supporting zombies or not supporting zombies, or how they're working to kind of beat the system and be like, all right, this is how we hate zombies, but we work at a school, so we can't just flat out be like, F you, kid. They have to find sneaky ways to do it, and they're doing lice checks to separate humans and zombies. So I like how they're handling it, but I would love to know what you guys think about that, and also where you think it might be headed. And definitely, like I said, I want to know what you guys thought about this episode in general, so please put your comments down in the comment section below, and of course, thanks for watching.